Chapter, Oklahoma City chapter of the Second Amendment Association. Let's stand for prayer and our pledges tonight. Lord, we're thankful that we're able to come tonight. We're able to freely assemble. We're able to talk about the rights that you've granted us. We're thankful, Lord, for the wisdom of our founding fathers, for giving us a document that so clearly articulated our freedoms. We pray, Lord, that we'll be good stewards of the freedom, the liberty that you've given us. We pray tonight, Lord, for our leaders, that they'll make wise decisions. We pray tonight for protection of those who are protecting our liberties abroad and here, Lord, that you put a watch care about them. Bless now our meeting tonight. In Christ I pray. Amen. Amen. Pledge the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated.
Man, oh man.
Don't go by the minds.
We good? We're up live?
Yeah.
Good? Come on.
It's coming on.
It's coming on. Oh, I'm on. Are we ready? Okay, Facebook Live. You guys, whatever parking lot you're at, whatever tin horn you're under, trying to stay dry, bridge, whatever it is, you're floating, boat, let us know where you're at. We're going to try to do some interactive questions, and you'll be ready for that. Perfect. Mr. Barry's going to be ready for some questions. I'm going to try to repeat them. So, guys, please, if you have a question, don't string it out for 2 days, because Don's just going to give you about the last 5 words of whatever happened, okay? And I don't do multiple questions at once. It doesn't work for me. So anyway, tonight we got a few things going on. It's not awful big. I want to go over we didn't have the awards banquet, which is basically what I just talked about a while ago, is because the weather was so unpredictable, and it basically is not still too far from that. I don't know. We got 3 inches over the weekend, but it just wasn't a good optics idea to drag a legislator from their underwater district and bring them up here and act like we didn't know or care about what was going on in their district. And so just the optics of that, we postponed it, and you have to make a guess, and that's what we did. We're going to attempt to, OK2A's 10th anniversary is this October. So it looks like the realistic part is we're going to incorporate the awards banquet into the 10th anniversary, into a Thursday night or Tuesday night meeting all together right here, but we'll keep you posted on that. So so that's what's going on with what happened with the awards banquets. There were some of you that had requested getting your money back. That's fine, and I really appreciate you. Those just said, don't worry about it. Just we'll catch up with you later. And I really appreciate that support too, because you guys know we're working pretty hard and have been at the state capitol, and I've even been working stuff this summer, which I try to coast a little bit, but it's just not working that way too much. A lot of interest for next year, and the fact is we've got a lot of bills laid over from this session that are ready to go. We just need to get with leadership and make sure we get them going and get them on the governor's desk, because I kind of like that. Or like the one guy says, it doesn't suck, right? Right, exactly. You're doing me the 3. I don't know what the 3 is.
3 this year.
3. Oh, 3 this year. Thank you. See, I don't do the sign language, and he sits there like I can read it. So anyway, but that's one thing for sure. What we also have too is a lot of you, and I really appreciate you. Who's here for the first time tonight? Who's here first time? Yeah. All right. That's almost half you guys. Yeah. Real quick, yell at me. How'd you hear about us? Just holler something out. Your daddy. Well, we'll have to question that guy over and over. Mr. West, I'm pretty sure you'd heard of us before, and you're saying this is your first time here on a Tuesday night? Really?
First time for me.
Oh, for you?
I've been out to Capitol with you a couple of times.
Remind me your name, sir.
Dwayne Hope.
Thank you. Appreciate that, Dwayne. All right. Well, And I recognize faces, but I go through this thing. I'll recognize a face, and I got to think, wait a minute, is that person mad at me or not? And just because they're smiling, I've learned it doesn't mean that's a good thing. So I have to stop and think. But I really appreciate your support, because that's what took it. Showing up at the Capitol. Had you ever been at the Capitol before this year? For other bills and stuff. How about anybody else? Well, this year was the first year you'd ever gone to the Capitol. I only see my hand up. How'd that happen? Is that okay? Well, that's good. That means we're getting more educated and keeping an eye on what's going on.
How many people were at the Capitol this year?
Yeah, how many of you showed up at the Capitol at one point or another this year? Man, that's awesome. That's almost everybody. All right, I appreciate that. I realize I interrupted Mike's dinner there, but that's quite okay there. So anyway, now also when it comes to our education here. OK2A, we are the state's leading advocate for Second Amendment rights, but we also make sure we defend all rights. And it's just not convenient to do that. And there's people that actually get mad at us because it's not Second Amendment stuff. You got no business paying attention or getting involved in that. I'm like, no, it's a whole Constitution. It's not selective, other than maybe the 16th Amendment. But it's not selective. Oh, good. Someone did catch that. Okay. I'm not a fan of paying taxes, folks. So that's what the 16th Amendment was about. So, but that's part of it. But like I said, we worked on several First Amendment bills and ideas this year, and also with the Ethics Commission, because you people that went to the state capitol this year, the State Ethics Commission wanted to make sure you were a lobbyist. You had to pay a lobbying fee. You had to say where your finances came from and who your friends are. Anybody see a problem with that? Yeah, well, we had a big problem with that too. That's right, we had a big problem with that too. So we worked all the way back in January, which almost seems like a lifetime ago, doesn't it, on that? We worked to get that where that doesn't happen, and we just shut that down. In fact, they didn't even take a vote on it. That's how much they got that message. And it wasn't just us. There was many groups there. In fact, I would say there was groups there that normally work against each other, all agreed that doesn't cut it. So, yeah.
Except MDA.
Except who?
Moms.
Oh, well, but they didn't say they liked it. They just didn't show up to work against it. He was complaining that the Moms Demand Action didn't show up, and I didn't want to start tonight, going after Moms Demand Action, because we've got folks, we're winning. So, they can go wear their orange shirts. That's fine. I've been taunted by them for a few years. Every time something would stop or get, especially after constitutional carry was vetoed last year, all the statements and emails and letters to the website and stuff on how blah, 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 and laughing at us and stuff. And I just remain quiet, because what happened? You just got to be persistent. You just got to be persistent.
We won.
Well, I'm going to say it this way. We're winning. We haven't won. And if you ever say we've won, then you've lost, because these people are out to get that reversed just as serious as anything else they've ever done. And they got the big money to do it with, because there was $1 million put in to stop constitutional carry in January. $1 million. So when you hear me kicking tires and say, folks, I need you involved, get financially involved, and you have to understand, Facebook people, we have a Facebook group. Yes, there is no charge for you to be a part of that group, but we're talking membership, financial membership, to keep this machine going. In fact, part of the machine is just making sure I can be at the state capitol to work and keep an eye on stop the red flag laws. Pretty good idea, right? Also, stop the law or the bills that were efforts to gut the stand your ground. That doesn't work for me either. So there's a lot of those things, and the way that happens is to keep someone up there and to keep an eye on it. And we've got to get people more financially involved, because I've been doing this for 3 years without receiving a single paycheck. That's how far into it I am. Which leads me into the next point. Those of you on Facebook and that discussion group, for you to be on there, I want to make it very clear, it's a privilege for you to be on there. It is a privilege for you to be on there. And we use that for educational purposes. I want people, just like tonight, I've had people message me, I didn't want to put this question on Facebook because I don't want my employer to possibly see it and blah, blah, blah. So get messages back. But then also, like I say, there's people just want to say, well, okay, what does constitutional carry? What can I open carry this or that? And even though we've answered it 100 times, we've got new people coming in all the time. We've got new education taking place all the time. So when one guy made a post, and I thought, okay, we'll let it go through there. He says, okay, now we got constitutional carry. What's left for us to do? I'm thinking in my head is like, well, we had introduced 38 gun bills, so that leaves 35, basically just right off the top of my head. Now, a lot of those were taken care of with constitutional carry. So we've got, capital carry. A person with a license, a valid license, will be able to carry concealed to state capitol. We've got teacher carry that still needs to finish up. We've got, and the one thing I'm getting to is the felony passenger bill. And the felony passenger bill it's giving a very small, and it's a terrible, terrible law to prosecute someone that's done nothing wrong. And that's exactly what this bill does. And this is what OK2A has done, and Oklahoma State Legislature has done, is just we get rid of the stupid laws, the stupid out laws. And like I said, on our board of directors, we have 3 pastors. And those pastors often go pick up people, haul people, and our pastors all are Second Amendment supporters, and they carry and defend themselves. And so the thought of them getting pulled over for a taillight being out or a headlight out or something, and there's a felon in the car, and that felon going back to prison for 10 years, just seems like that's just a bit much. What was that? So anyway, is it time to take cover here? So anyway, so my point being is that OK2A, our objective all along is and will remain to make sure we restore the rights of peaceful, law-abiding citizens to peacefully carry firearms. That doesn't change. That's who we deal with first. And so this last 2 weeks, and some people have gotten ugly over it, and I'm not going to listen to it, is that, well, it sounds like all you care about is getting your felony passenger bills, and you don't care about the rest of things going on. Referring to, they want felons to be able to carry guns. Well, maybe someday, but I know that state legislature. And I remember back in 2011 when just open carry was an issue. And I watched legislators literally just about urinate on themselves at the thought of someone open carrying a gun. Look what we've done in 6 years. So everything we work on is a progression. We incrementalize. This is no secret. It's no secret. So if we ever want to be able for a guy that's had a non-violent felony, and maybe he's got a clean record for 10 years, if we ever want any type of his Second Amendment requirements, or Second Amendment restored, it's got to go through some incrementalism. And that's simply for a felon to be able to sit in a car peacefully with another person who's legally, peacefully carrying a firearm. So if you're going to accuse me, and like I say, there's just a few people, but I want to cut this off. And you sit there and you tell me I don't care. I'm not participating. All I care about is my bills. Well, however you want to look at it, it's not true. And like I say, that discussion group is not there for you to taunt or try to intimidate me to do something that is just not in the foreseeable future to do. So I hope you guys can be patient with me and understand that. But like I say, if you're going to get on there and you think you're going to call me out, folks, I don't need you. It's just one click and you're gone. One other click and you're blocked. I don't need you because we've got that group. It's just growing all the time. It's growing all the time. And like I say, I'm going to reiterate again. You go on there, and I post it just about every day or every other day. You use profanity on there and you're gone. Because we've got teenagers, actually even, I was told, 9-year-olds, that are viewing, their parents are allowing them to watch that group so they can learn civics, so they can learn gun bills, so they can learn concepts, so they can learn critical thinking, which are missing out of a lot of education today. So like I say, one more time, I will throw everyone out that thinks they've got to use the F word on there to make sure these new kids, because if we don't keep the young people involved, educated properly, and moving forward, Second Amendment's gone. It's gone. And there's plenty of people that want to take it away now, and they don't seem to be too educated and on the deal. So anyway, so have I got any questions rolling yet?
Yes, we have one from McGlynn. Question on constitutional carry. Wants to know, will he be able to carry any gun he has once it goes into effect?
No. And the key word here was any gun.
He's referring to a rifle specifically.
Oh, now we get, see, there's always a catch-up because it's still a limitation on the pistol at a .45 caliber. So if someone still wants to carry their Desert Eagle on your own private property, I can't imagine who could ever care. But don't think at this point you're going to walk into a public park or down the street carrying your Desert Eagle, which I would love to walk with you because that's pretty cool. Those things are cool. It's like a cannon in there. So anyway, so did I miss any part of the question? You said rifles. Rifle as long as it's 16-inch barrel. I still have not gotten with our attorney on short barrel rifles. I don't think it would still be an issue, but we're not going to go there yet. We'll answer that for you in November by November. So, but as far as any other rifle, you can carry it as long as it is, and this is any firearm, folks, any firearm, carried in a scabbard, sling, holster, or case. If you think you're going to carry a rifle in your bare hands, you're going to look like that guy in Dallas 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, don't think it's time to put on a hoodie and go in and test the law enforcement. No. Don't think it's time to go walk into an area to aggravate this, folks. It's sensitive. Even though you have the right to possibly do it, in this state I don't think you do, but even if you think you have the right to do it, it's just stupid. It's just stupid. And you may not always have the right to be stupid.
We need the police on our side.
We need the police on our side. I agree 100% on that. 100% on that. And there's a twofold problem, and I may be getting off just a little bit here, but that's okay. You guys weren't going anywhere anyway, were you? There's a twofold problem. We've got 2 generations of youth that have grown up and then raising their own that do not understand the concept of respect for authority. And so we're seeing that permeate now in a lot of public education and elsewhere. It's not just in education. But it shouldn't surprise us that even through that two generations of people growing up, that law enforcement are coming from that same lack of a respect for authority, or they've got something they want to prove or solve. And I'm talking a small percentage because we know a lot of law enforcement and they're in our group and some of them are here. So I've had law enforcement officers tell me they don't trust the people they work with, some of them. But here's the deal, folks. I don't care what job it is, whether it be pastors, whether it be legislators, whether it be plumbers, 2% are just scum. It's just what it is. Certified firearm instructors, same thing. It's an issue. So, and unfortunately, we have to prepare everything because of the bad and not so much of the good. So and I want to make clear, OK2A is as pro law enforcement as you can get, and the reason I say that is because we're trying to make sure all the laws are favor the peaceful, law-abiding citizen, which obviously would include a law enforcement officer, obviously. But here's the other part of it too. You go break the law, I don't care if you have a badge or not, my sympathy level is going to be the same. You screwed up. You need to fix it, own up to it, whatever it is. And so you've had, like I say, you've had years of some people being abused, and now we've got microphones, we've got cameras everywhere, all this stuff, and now we're finding out that there are some that are abusing, law enforcement have abused their authority. And so you've got this weird balance that it's just everyone needs to cool off, but morals have not really taught us to do that so far, or as of late. But no, law enforcement, as far as I'm concerned, yeah, come on, guys, we're all with you. We want you here supporting us. We want to support you. But like I say, you guys think you can break that Constitution and get away with it? No, not this guy. No, not here. So that's where I look at on that. Was there another question on that?
One follow-up on constitutional carry. This is from Joseph, wants to know about an AR pistol.
Okay. I have one in my car right next to my leg. I highly recommend it. They're cool. If you have to get out, you're serious and you can chew right through anything with it. Is it legal? It's legal today. An AR-15 pistol is legal to carry today. As I stated, holster, sling, scabbard, or case. Don't think you're going to get out of that car, start walking down the sidewalk with that thing in your hands. And actually, I've been educating people too because it's so new. If you carry it on a sling, put it behind your back. Don't look like you're anywhere near on offense. And then also with the ARs of any type and AKs, I highly recommend if you want to exercise your right, go out to the park with some friends or whatever. Folks, this is so new. Call the non-emergency local law enforcement phone number. Let them know you're going to go out to the park at a certain time so you don't get swatted. And swatted is when someone says, that guy's pointing a gun at me, that guy's doing this and that, when it's not happening, and they all show up because they're told something criminal is going on. And so that's what's transpiring. Let's do this for a while until the communication relaxes between the two. But what took place in Dallas 2 days ago, things will always possibly be tense. Yes, sir.
Back to your felons, is that going to be just for vehicles, or is that going to extend to the home as well?
Good question. See, that's all right. This is I'm going to try to repeat the question. The felony question was back to will it only apply to a person who is a passenger in the car, and that is correct. At this point, like I say, incrementalism. I know people that have felons in their family household, and it is an issue because they can't acquire an SDA license, they can't keep an SDA license, and I forget what the federal law is on it. Maybe there's not one on the federal. But state level is way strict on it. Now again, that law was made back in 1971 about having a felon in the car. It's an old law, and so it's been repaired. But incrementalism, I want to be able for a household, if they have to, because a lot of times it's a relative coming back in, to be able to have that household and then still be able to defend themselves. Right. Even if that felon is still under whatever watch or whatever is going through, outplacement of some sort. But again, we're not going to get there. Say, hey, yeah, let's have felons with guns. Right? It's just not going to happen. I personally think it's completely reasonable that in due time that a felon who has been clean, a nonviolent felon who's been clean for 10 years should be able to, at a minimum, have a break barrel shotgun with ammunition in their home for self-defense. We'll worry about some point on down the line whether it can extend past that. But as many people as I know, that's not, you've been clean. And I've got people, it blows me away. You go to church or Sunday school and you find out, a guy that's been a great guy you've known for 10, 15, 20 years, did something stupid when he was 19, got a felony. And, and like I say, back then, and Oklahoma still does a lot of it, Bobby Cleveland can tell you this, it was just you threw a felony charge at everything. Just everything was a felony, and we're paying for it, and we're paying for it big time, and it's finally getting some of that's getting addressed at it. So anyway, I hope that answers your question on that.
I get questions like all of them.
Shout out to Clarence, who's watching from Padre Island.
Clarence is watching from Padre Island, Texas. Because it could now wait a minute, that could be South Oklahoma City or by Wagner. It could be by Wagner, Padre Island right now. Who knows? Yes, sir.
Okay, Mariah wants to know about the Hefner Park incident. Hafer Park, excuse me. Hafer Park incident, follow up on that?
Follow up is good. Yeah, you can call it an incident. It wasn't even much more than that. We have actually had, in fact, Tim Harper's here. We actually had a meeting with the Edmond Police. I took them the updated new version of the law. We had a real good, cordial meeting with him, and I forget the other officer's name that was there. Maybe you remember, I don't. But that's where I went ahead and agreed that any person, that we would educate people, any person that's going to carry any type of an AR-style weapon or something similar that goes into a park, just to give them, he said, you guys just give us a call so we don't have to show up guns a-blazing. I said, yeah, that's because, folks, this is so new. 112 years you haven't been able to carry a long gun in this state legally. 112 years. The only one here can remember that's Bobby Cleveland, right, Bobby? So anyway, it's new to this culture. And like I said, it just cracks me up because I was in Mesa, Arizona like 25 or 30 years ago, and you just saw people bouncing around with everything over their back and 45 Rugers on each thigh and stuff, and it was a part of the culture. They'd been raised that way. So we still got culture shock and, quite frankly, culture whiplash that's taking place here. And also, I just don't see the need, I personally do not see the need to go out and try to shove this down someone's throat. Some people are always going to feel that way. So I agree, but we got so many new people at this. But if you guys remember back when open carry went in 2012, remember the blood in the streets that was going to be and all that stuff? And it always amazed me the amount of time I'll open carry, and people wouldn't even notice. I mean, they wouldn't even notice. They weren't even aware of what was going on around them. So that was pretty much this will turn into, I think, pretty much the same way. But like I say, communication is always best. Always best. And also, one of the old things I always say too, if you really respect someone, you communicate with them thoroughly. And so that's what we need to do with law enforcement that's getting ready to deal with this. This is what we need to do with the public with this. Education. And again, the Moms Demand Action, it doesn't matter what you say. It doesn't matter what you do. And I don't know why. Folks, if you feel the need to go to a Moms Demand Action meeting, it's not on my account. They're going to do their thing. Let them go do their thing. Fine. Because I know and absolutely agree, and I disagree with them, they are out to make sure they take your gun rights and your guns away from you. There is no doubt in my mind how better nice you are about it, and doesn't matter to me. That's the objective on it. So anyway, did I repeat? I repeated the question too. So what's that? That's it? No more? Okay. So yes, sir. I'll take a question back there.
I got a question. I may not have read the book right, the new yellow book, but I've been studying for months and months. Did it not say in the book that if you are a non-violent felon, you've done your time, you've done all your probation, you haven't been in any trouble for 7 years, you can apply for your CC license?
No. No, and also the yellow book is like 2 years old or 3 years old.
Oh,
So there's a newer one since then. And by the way, we got another one that's going to be different color in November because we keep screwing up the book and they got to keep reprinting it.
It doesn't say that.
Oh, the question? Repeat the question. No, sir. A non-violent felon in Oklahoma can never have a gun.
Okay.
The felony has to be expunged, and then you still have to have permission from the governor to be able to go there. So,
An actual pardon?
yes.
Okay.
It's still got to come through the governor for that to happen. It's complicated. It's long. It's way too unnecessary. The question was, can a nonviolent felon be able to carry a gun in Oklahoma? And currently, they can't even have a black powder firearm, which under federal law they can.
I
So,
got one more question,
sure.
and I don't got any more after that.
Oh, come on! Don't tease me. Okay, we're gonna start charging by the question.
There is a law called 1020 life, 515 life.
I don't know.
Okay. So
Well, unless it's federal.
It's got to do with the little stickers on the door that say,
Oh, no, you're talking about the 30-06 for Texas. Is that what you're talking about, 30-06 and 30-07?
no.
No?
No, it has to do with the little sticker, no weapons allowed.
That's right.
Yeah.
It came out of Florida, and I was just wondering if anything had been brought up here. But if you go in like our church, we got them on there, and if you pull out your gun, the district attorney can give you 5 years.
No.
If you fire your weapon.
Well, hang on. Hold on. Hang on. All right. The question is on business owners' rights and private property. Can you carry? What happens if you carry onto the property? Now, when you say you remove the gun, that is criminal unless it's for the act of self-defense. So it could be, there could be a charge on that. But just carrying it into a private property, OK2A, and man, I've been working at business rights over for years, that it is not a criminal act. It shall not be deemed a criminal act to carry onto a private property.
Well, I just seen it in Florida.
Okay, we're not in Florida.
But I didn't know, I hadn't heard anything here, but it was 10-25.
Okay, well, again, that's Florida. You're in Oklahoma. Okay, it's a different set of statutes. It's under the business owner's rights of 1290.22. And paragraph A specifically states that the business owner, and we included a place of worship specifically, because it was years ago, I would talk to an attorney and I would say, okay, is a place of worship a church? Is that a business? And they would go, and would not give me an answer. So I thought, well, then let's just try this. So I wrote a bill that included places of worship under the business owner's rights. And there wasn't too much of a second look at that part of the concept of it. And because, like I say, it's private property, I can't believe we even got to bring it up to begin with. But the business owner has the right to remove you, either deny you entrance into the property or have you removed from the property. And it's not a criminal act. But if you refuse to leave, then it becomes the issue. Okay, and here's the other cool part. Since we did that in 2013, I cannot name a single person, and I've asked law enforcement and everyone else, tell me somebody that refused to leave that was legally, peacefully carrying a gun. And it doesn't exist. So when it came to constitutional carry, the state chamber, they wanted that criminalized instead of just being a handwritten citation and you leave. So I got to thinking, okay, constitutional carry, no one's ever done anything wrong, so all we got to do is give them, okay, it's a criminal act if you refuse to leave, which was already taking place. They thought that they just got the biggest deal on that. I thought, oh man, we're kicking OK2A in the teeth, and I'm laughing my head off because I got exactly what I wanted, because we clarified the language that says the person, the business owner, or someone there working for them has to ask you to leave first. Because what had happened a time or two is that, in fact, it happened in Wagner, that guy sitting down eating his hamburger at the restaurant, he's open carrying a pistol, and next thing he knows, the cops show up and, man, you get out of here. He didn't know he'd done anything wrong. So they have to be informed. If the employee does not inform the person, then it's up to the obligation of the law enforcement officer to inform them, not to threaten them. Just say, look, folks, you're in here peaceful carrying, got no problem with it, but the business owner says they're uncomfortable with it, they would like you to leave, please leave. What do? You leave. Then once you get out, you trash them on Facebook, but you leave. Right. So so basically we have looked, and we even made sure the language, I wrote the language to make sure that even that place of business is immune from you carrying or using that firearm. That they're immune from that. Because, folks, it all comes down to whoever discharges that firearm, it's on you till that bullet stops. It's on you. Nothing's changed. That'll never change. That's the way it is. Even in a legitimate, bona fide act of self-defense, if someone's coming through your door, if someone's at the church, and you shoot and make an perfect shot, it goes right through the bad guy's chest and exit and hits Grandma Jones, in the arm. You're responsible for that bullet till it stops. But at least it's not a criminal act. Make sense? It's a civil act.
So even if you don't use your firearm, you use it as a deterrent against an intruder like that, then you're not going to be, it's not brandishing, right?
If you're convinced, he's asking the question: is it criminal if you remove a weapon to point it at a perpetrator? And it all goes down to your mindset. If you're convinced he's going to harm or kill you, and I always talk about this in first person because that's the strongest point, or somebody else like your child or someone with you, or like the law says, another, you have the right to defend them.
Right.
I would always defend no matter what happens in first person.
Right.
You know, and then also here's the other thing that we're going to pick up tonight too, folks. Once a week, it seems like I get a call, email, text, message, something from someone that they've done something stupid and they want OK2A to come to the rescue. Yeah, I don't know what that. Oh, yeah, that's where I'm going with it. So, and like I said, I've got someone aggravated at us because they committed a felony, charged with it, and they're still waiting for it to go through. But they want to make sure the law is changed so they can keep their gun under a really unique situation, weird situation. And I asked him, "Well, what's your attorney say about it?" He says, "Well, he don't know what to think about it either." So my point goes back to, guys, if you're going to even carry a gun at all, don't call us, call U.S. Law Shield, because that's where you're at. That's where it's at. That's what they're for. And it's too inexpensive not to have it. And like I say, to have an attorney, a qualified self-defense attorney on call 24 hours a day, that's what you do. That's what you do, and it just makes it'll make your life a lot easier. You might actually be able to sleep a little bit, even though you've been through a traumatic situation on that. So that's what that.
Reminded we deal with issues at the legislative level, not the judicial level.
That's 99% right. We deal with the legislative level. We don't deal with the judiciary level. Yes, Tim.
I've carried pocket knives into the Capitol before as well, and what changed? I understand you had an issue with that.
We don't now. It was after we had passed the law where you could carry one of these, because these used to be a misdemeanor crime. Did you know that?
Yeah.
These are like for 105 years. Oh, this ain't a switchblade. It's cooler than that. Okay, it's cooler than that. But this is an out the front knife. So I go in carrying my out the front knife, thinking, hey, we've changed the law. The law's changed. And the Capitol Police said, you can't bring that in here. So, well, yeah, I can. Here's the law, and I show it to him. And he was kind of snippet about it. He's like, I don't care what the law says. Well, you're fitting to. So they have me return to my car because I knew exactly what I was going to do. So by that afternoon, I had already emailed the Oklahoma Department of Public Safety stating, and also with the link to the video, that I pulled my phone out and I started recording. And like I said, there's a guy, officer, saying, I don't care what the law is. I'm dumbfounded by that ignorance. That's terrible. And so I have them. They return it back to me. I take it to the car. Like I said, I send the email. I get this murky email back that says, well, under Title 70, that I think it was Title 70, that the state the Capitol Police are allowed to patrol the grounds. What the heck's that got to do with a knife?
Yeah.
What's that got to do with it? And so I sent it back to him. I said, okay, we appreciate them patrolling the grounds. I do not appreciate you trying to cloud this. And like I say, if I am stopped again, or any other person that I know of, from peacefully entering and peacefully carrying a knife, action, and I go right down the list of the action is going to go against. Well, it was like a week later, I'm back at the Capitol, because that was actually in January before session started. So I'm back in session, and I walked through and I thought, well, here we go. So I tossed my knife and my stuff and all my stuff there, and goes through without saying a word. Huh. And hadn't had a problem since.
Do they have a list of prohibited items?
They can have it. I don't care. It's not going to stop me. I mean, folks, you can carry You can carry a fillet knife. I mean, there's no restriction on it.
Truly the item that's restricted is the handgun, right?
Yes,
Can't
because
carry
that is a firearm.
Yeah.
But see, we had changed the law to where it brought knives under the state preemption, and so when it was brought in the state preemption, because Antlers, Oklahoma, outlawed the carry of a pocket knife. Yeah, I look just like that. You should see her face. Like, what? Yeah, for 5 years they had the possession of a pocket knife illegal. And of course, you know me, that don't work. So we fixed it. And here's the funny thing. We fixed it, right, in 2014. Guess what bill the governor vetoed? Carrying of a pocket knife. So we had to pass it again the next year. Because she was on a little of a tirade, mad at the state legislature for not giving her enough money. She vetoed 4 Second Amendment bills in an election year. And that's where she actually learned who we were. And because, man, you guys were awesome. We just tore the phones up down there. And even State Representative Eccles at the time, he says, now, you don't know the firestorm you're getting ready to set off here. And the governor's office was, well, whatever. And like I say, we just melted down the phones, emails, people up in the office over a pocket knife. And like, God, if these guys will do this over a pocket knife, what will they do about their guns? Well, you got that figured out. That's what we'll do. It's about liberty.
So can we carry a pocket knife in the BOK Center or the chest?
Legally, yes, but they'll stop you. In fact, I'm getting ready. We're going to have an action against the. See, you're making me give away all my secrets.
You don't have to give it away.
Repeat the question.
Oh, repeat the question. Can you carry a knife in the BOK Center and the Cox Convention Center stuff? Legally, yes, but the problem is they're still prohibiting it. And I was involved in a situation going into a concert, and they stopped me. I've got the whole recording. It is in the hands of our attorney. There's some other items we're trying to take care of first, because strategy is strategy, how you do these things. But it's going to change. They're going to have to come into compliance with state law. And I think you guys got it figured out that I'm not going to tolerate much less than that. That's for sure. Yes, sir.
Daniel has a question back on constitutional carry. Wants to know if that includes concealed carry as well as open carry.
This is the cool part. I want you guys to quit thinking concealed or open carry. It's the carry.
Right.
It's that you can determine what's best for you, but it is the carry. So I'm going to be very clear. That includes, the carry includes open or concealed, loaded or unloaded. But again, I want to reiterate, holster, sling, scabbard, case. Because if you go walking down the street carrying a gun in your hands, it better be for the very act of self-defense. And if the police are rolling up, you better lay that sucker down. And that's no threat. That's just for your own safe good on that. All right? Okay. Now we're gonna go ahead and move on here. Some other business. I think they're ready. Yes, sir.
Just one more question.
Just one more? Okay.
For me.
Okay.
Concealed carry, you have to identify that you're carrying.
Great question. We'll update that. That has changed. The requirement for if you're carrying a firearm, whether you're obligated to notify the officer at first intent or at first notification. The answer is this portion is changing for the carrier's favor. To clarify, because there's been 3 or 4 people I know that have gotten citations and actually taken to jail because they did not immediately inform the officer that they had a firearm on them, but the officer said, "You got a gun on you?" He goes, "Oh yeah, by the way, I do. Here's my license." And then they go to jail because they did not immediately inform the officer. Now, law enforcement, every time I deal with them, and they ask if you have a gun. So we're taking the responsibility off of the citizen and putting it square on law enforcement where it's always been and should have been and recognized years ago. So if you're being detained, so during a traffic stop, detainment, or even an arrest, the officer asks you if you have a firearm or any weapons, you are required by law to inform that officer. So you're required by law. So that's the way it is. So that answers your question. November 1st. And here's the deal too, folks. You get pulled over, I didn't inform them anyway, because the friendlier you are, and I'd say, hey, I've got a license. I say, well, you don't need a license. Well, I want to let you know that I've got a license. And they'll say, well, I appreciate that. Maybe that'll roll you out of a ticket. Because what's your objective of a traffic stop? Get out of the ticket. What, am I the only person here who wants to keep my money in my own pocket? All right, yes.
Cheryl has a question concerning the mode of carry, wanting to know if you carry in your waistband without a holster.
Okay.
Not talking safety, she's talking legality, I believe.
Legality. The law specifically says it can be carried by holster, scabbard, sling, or case. So, unless you're on your own private property, you should not be carrying it stuck through your belt. That's correct.
How would you consider pocket carry in your pocket? That's with a little pocket.
I personally still have it in a holster. I have a pocket holster because I like my family jewels, and you don't need some keychain, key change to go off when you don't want it to.
Powder burn would be bad enough.
Any part of it's going to be bad. Yeah, powder burns probably an understatement, but I'm still thinking where that bullet's going to stop, or what it decides to take out with it while it's going that way. So that is the answer is, like I say, no. If you're out in public, you leave your own private property, you need to have that in a holster, in a sling case, as I've already previously scabbard I've already described. All right, I need to move on here. We got. Speaking of scabbards and cases and stuff, and speaking of felony repeals, I like felonies being repealed for peaceful people. I'm kind of into that. And this is our 8th one this year. And this happens because, one, and in fact, let me back up just a little bit. People say, well, what's the value of being an OK2A member? Well, we help give you a guide on who to vote for, because we've either done a survey for a new candidate or we're providing a history lesson, a history on their voting record. So we've done both. Now, and tonight we're going to be presenting an award, and believe it or not, I love this, Freshman of the Year award. This is a guy first year in there. He was an author for constitutional carry. Right off the bat, not a co-author, he was an author for it.
Wow.
Yeah, one of many, but still good deal. Also, when I had approached him, and this worked out great because God's pretty cool about figuring things out for us sometimes. I needed someone to run our bill on the repeal of the Mossberg shockwave, because it's considered a sawed-off shotgun under Oklahoma law, but federal law doesn't care. It cracks me up. You can have them in California and New York, but it's a felony in Oklahoma. So I'm getting that look again. I need a picture of that look. She's like, God, this stuff is stupid. Yes, ma'am. That's our job. We're taking the stupid out of a lot of laws. See, she may not come back now. But we take the stupid out of a lot of these laws. But again, we identify a problem. I learned this right off the bat. You identify the problem, you provide a solution to the problem, and then you supply the support, working with intelligent people that are dedicated to the Constitution, and this is what we get, Freshman of the Year. So I would like to invite Mr. Jay Stiegel, Representative Jay Stiegel, sir. Would you come right on up here, if you would, sir? Oh, he's worth applauding for, folks. I can't believe it. Yeah! There you go. You got it? Come on in here, because you're going to get to talk to a little bit.
All right.
Now, so Representative Stiegel, it was so cool. It was so cool because I tried to interview legislators or candidates, before we endorse them. And he called me from an undisclosed place on the other side of the world that he couldn't tell me where he was at, serving our country. So he doesn't just serve our country; he serves our state. He serves our state well. And like I say, the Senate Bill 24 is his name on it. Which makes a shockwave and the TAC 13 and 14 legal. And the other cool part about it is he is a FFL. He sells firearms. So when we need someone to deal with something that doesn't make a whole lot of sense when you're first looking at it. He knew exactly what we were talking about. And so it's great to have someone to speak with that confidence and authority, whether it be in a committee on the floor or someone just comes up and asks them a question about the bill. And because it cracked me up, and I don't know if they came to you, but the Oklahoma Sheriff's Association came to me with the bill and they go, Don, what are you doing here? Okay, these are people that deal with this stuff. So I said, we're trying to make the shockwaves legal. Oh, okay, yeah, okay, no problem, got it. So anyway, State Representative Stegall presented it in committee. Absolutely no problem. I can't remember what the vote was. There's always two people voting against it. Then on the floor, with such confidence, there was one question, and then let's vote, and that was it. And like I say, that comes from respect. It comes from understanding and what's going on. So this award reads, in the highest recognition and appreciation to the legislator who was the most aggressive defender of the return of a God-given right of self-preservation by authoring and advancing legislation that reflects and supports the U.S. Constitution, and for Oklahomans' Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms, this year goes to freshman Representative Jay Stegall. There you go, sir. I told you to do it. There you go. We'll share our pictures.
Well, I'm under direct order.
Are you? Oh, direct orders. By the way, before you run on, he was out of the country. Here was knocking the doors. And I love this because she goes up holding an iPad, letting him be able to talk back and forth.
Wow.
Come on up here. Come on, Kim. Yeah, come on. Oh, well, let's do this. There we go. Got it? All right. So anyway, now I'm not going to find this in a pawn shop in an hour, am I?
No, I'll at least wait till Friday.
But Kim, thank you. Until Friday. So, but I appreciate, because for him to be in office, you talk about, he had the support. It was absolutely impressive. And I can't get involved in a campaign, but I can stand back and watch. And it was a pretty well-oiled machine that was coming out of there. So this is what you've got as a freshman working for the state capitol. And this is where OK2A shows you who we suggest and why, and here's why. So I'm going to let you say a few words there, sir.
Well, thank you, Don. First off, I want to say thanks to Don Spencer and OK2A for all the hard work that they've put in this year. It's been an absolute pleasure working with them this year. I felt like all of our firearms-related bills, all of our liberty-related bills had some good backing to them, and it's because of the research that we get from guys like you, Don, and out of organizations like OK2A. So thank you so much for your support and your willingness to go out on the limb to help those of us that still believe in our constitutional protected rights and give us the tools that we need to fight those fights. So thank you for that. And of course, thanks to my wife for helping on the campaign last year. She's so bashful, in case you can't tell. Now, she's not the only campaign supporter that we had with us, and not even the only one we have in the audience today. We've got Mr. Mark Thomas with us today, too, from Canadian County and living right there in Yukon, one of my constituents. So thank you for all your support.
One of your proud constituents.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. We know we've got a lot of work ahead of us, and we're looking forward to working with Don and OK2A again next year. We're waiting on Don to unveil all the legislation as timing dictates so that we can tackle those battles next session. My experience in this is I do own a gun store there in Yukon. I also operate one of the largest outdoor open to the public gun ranges out in El Reno. So I'm glad to know that you're leaning on what experience and expertise I have in the area. It has served me well in the legislature. I'm able to communicate with our fellow classmates and senior leaders on what this is going to mean for our constituents. And it gives us a little bit of validity to the legislation that we're trying to pass. And we can do that with confidence. Like Don said, when we presented SB 24 in committee, I had one question
from one of the panelists in there, and it was a good, fair question. He was trying to get the reasoning behind all the dimensions that are talked about as far as why why the law really needs to change. And so I was able to ramble on for about 10 minutes about this in an attempt to thwart other questioning. And funny story, Representative Kennedy is the chairman for the Judicial Committee. And he came up to me afterwards and he said, "Man, I know who to go to if I ever need anything filibustered." So that was quite the compliment. And then when we presented it on the floor, again, we got one question. It was more for the bill than it was against it, even though it came from the other side of the aisle. But it came from a guy that typically supports our gun rights anyway. So I was happy to jump on board for that one. I was more than willing to get on board as an author for constitutional carry. And one of the big questions that I got, not just from my customers, but from fellow legislators, was this: don't you stand to lose business as a result of passing constitutional carry? And I said, I absolutely do. But it's well worth it. Because our constitutionally protected rights don't need to be monetized. And this is how you know you've lost your right: when the government takes it away from you and sells it back to you in the form of a license.
Yes, sir.
So we need to knock that crap out.
Yeah.
All right. So let's continue to support organizations like OK2A, and believe me, they're working really hard for you to protect our rights. Thanks again for the award. This is very humbling, and I'm going to hang this on my wall down
As soon as
at
you
the
get
office.
one.
As soon as I get one back.
Appreciate it very much. The right now, thank you very much. Second, third, fourth, and fifth floors are under massive reconstruction. They've actually got all of the legislative assistants across the street in another. I mean, they're sitting like in little cubicles, like it's a bunny ranch, and you've got little cubicles just right like that. So anyway, we appreciate you very much. Appreciate you making it tonight. And like I say, everyone out there in Facebook land, this is what we've got going and working for us. Tim's got a question. You got a question for him?
Representative Stegall, how's your car courier bill coming? Are you going to introduce it again this session?
I'm letting Don lead the charge on that one. We're going to discuss strategy for next year, and if that's something that we're going to tackle, then we're going to get on board with it.
Okay.
Online question. They would like to know the name of your gun shop.
Oh.
Yeah. And range, right?
And range. Okay, so if I can for a moment, I'll step out of my state legislator hat, and I'll tell you the name of my shop there in Yukon is called Cloverleaf Precision, and we run the Canadian Ranges outdoor range there in El Reno. Thank you.
Banner Road, right?
It is, right? Yeah, it's also known as the Banner Road Range.
Yeah.
And a few others.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, everybody knows where it's at. Okay, cool. I know you guys probably have some questions and some things that we want to discuss. I'm going to let you continue with your meeting.
Appreciate it.
And I'll hang around for a few minutes afterwards to meet you guys and answer any questions you have.
Well, we're getting ready to shut her down here, so we'll. But again, thank you very much. And like I say, it's completely selfish. I'll make sure it's understood. I want him to look good because we look good. So we want to give the right information, identify the problem, and we went over the bill, rehearsed obviously the bill for, I don't know, maybe even hours before he ever went out there. So we'd be prepared. Because like I said, we want to be prepared, and this is how it pays off. So again, appreciate your effort, and hang around. Yeah, don't run off just yet. I believe that comes under the category once again that doesn't suck, right? Okay, got any other questions before we get out of here? That's good. All right, we're gonna shut it down here so you guys can talk to Representative Stegall and go from there. I'm trying to think. Okay. No meeting in July. No one will be here in July. Don't show up in here in July. Go do your 4th of July things in the whole month of July. Don't show up here. Keep paying attention on what we're going to do for August. Usually August is kind of an in-between whether we come back and do stuff or not. It just depends what's going on. So, but again, month of July, we will not be here. Yes, Tim?
Isn't July Gun Pride Month?
I don't see why not. Gun Pride Month, month of July. We'll need to work on a flag for that next
Every
year.
month.
And a bill.
Well, yeah, that's actually true.
You
Yeah,
want to do that for next
Gun Pride Month. I think that's pretty good. Now, before I forget, Mr. Ballard, come up here real quick. Running for U.S. Representative District 5. That's right. I want to tell you real quick. He's been a member of OK2A for I can't remember how long. Come here closer. I want you to give a brief rundown what you're doing, your stance, maybe what your problem is with the current legislator there. Just maybe a little. I'm going to give you a couple minutes.
Socialist.
Oh,
She's a gun grabber socialist.
Could you state your name again, please?
My name is Michael Ballard,
Thank you, Michael.
and I'm running for the U.S. Congress District 5. The current occupant of that seat is Kendra Horn. I think I don't have to explain her situation, her scenarios, and what she's for. Pretty much what she's for, I'm against. What I'm against, so she's way out there and I'm way over here. I'm retired from the United States Army, and I've also spent some time in the Oklahoma National Guard, where my main job was, I was a first response team, which basically meant anytime there was a tornado, flood, ice storm, or anything, even water towers going bad in small towns in the middle of nowhere, I was one of the first ones to go in there and help take care of my fellow Oklahomans. The reason why I'm running for this seat is the same reason why I ran for the United States Army, to defend my Constitution, my country, the Bill of Rights, my state, and my fellow Oklahomans. I am 110% Second Amendment. Anything that comes before, when I'm elected, that comes before my committee or House, just a general House vote that has anything to do, even in my mind, that thinks it's going to limit the Second Amendment right, for when I know I've gotten a little bit of hot water when I said law-abiding citizens. If you're violent, you should be in prison. If I'm not talking about someone that goes out and goes 3 miles over the speed limit, but I'm talking about violent people should not have firearms. They should be in prison. Should be running the street. I'm also for taking back some of our Second Amendment that's been lost to us, like bump stock, anything that limits law-abiding people. You shouldn't lose your rights. So I'm going to keep this short. I'm just going to say this. There's 4 things that always will go through my mind, that questions I'll ask myself, any bills that comes before me, before I vote. Is it constitutional? If it's not constitutional, I'll vote no. Does it raise taxes or lower taxes? If it raises taxes, I'll vote no. Does it expand government or limit government? If it expands government, I'll vote no. And the last thing, do we really need it? If we don't need it, I'll vote no. I know most people, when they run for office, especially these, I think the last count was 712 Democrats running for president, everything's free. So if you want, you even got Joe Biden saying, I'll cure cancer. So if you don't vote for him, you want cancer. But anyway, I'm just here to defend the Constitution and the Bill of Rights.
That's right.
So,
Amen.
and I'm retired from the Army, so I can stay here till midnight and answer questions. So, thank you.
Woo! Thank you, Michael. All right, guys. Well, that's that. We're going to go ahead and shut it down here, and we'll hang around here if you got some other questions to ask and stuff. But I hope you've enjoyed this. If you're not a member of OK2A, I have no idea what you're waiting on. And also, it's important, and we've had a good number of people joining in the recurring, which is $5 a month, $10 a month, something like that. That is so helpful that you do that, because it keeps you, one, you're automatically on the email list. We keep you informed. 2, it keeps you current, and we're going to have some other raffles that'll automatically put you in every raffle automatically. So, which our raffle's pretty good. Oh, Bobby Cleveland already left. I was going to give him a hard time. Oh well. So anyway, folks, do it.
Register online, OK2A.org.
Register online at OK2A.org. Go in there, check it out, become a member. Also, if you're not a member of U.S. Law Shield, same thing. I don't know what you're waiting on, because don't call me, call them. It's too. If you're calling me, it's pretty much too late. Call me before, not after. All right. You guys have a good evening. Facebook Live. We'll see y'all. Have a good evening. Woo!